And this meditation will focus on here in and here out. Go ahead and get into a comfortable posture. Relax your spine, relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. And I invite you to close your eyes, although you can always keep your eyes open, entirely up to you. Just bring attention to the thoughts in the mind, in particular, the sounds in the mind. What is the mental chatter that is currently going on? You may notice a lot of activation, a lot of thoughts happening at the same time, or just one right after the other. You may notice silence. Either is perfectly fine. Our goal during this sit is to not change anything, if we can manage, but instead just notice what is. So if a difficult thought comes up, see if we can just stay with the thought, or notice the next thought that comes up, rather than trying to change what's happening. So just begin to notice any thoughts that arise. Thoughts in the form of verbal internal chatter. And notice the content of the thought. Once you notice the content, categorize it as future thinking or future tripping, planning. Maybe it's thinking about the past or ruminating on something that happened a long time ago, and it's just rehashing the same memory over and over. Maybe it's a judgment about yourself or about someone else. Whatever it might be, just notice the content of the thought and determine an appropriate label for those types of thoughts. And just say that label. So I start thinking about what I'm going to do after this sit. And I say in my mind, planning. I think about a conversation I had yesterday, and I say in my mind, remembering. I notice a judgment about myself, and I say judgment. Just try that on your own. You may take note of whether the thoughts that are coming up are positive in nature or negative. That being, are they helpful or are they not helpful? Do they bring about positive emotion or negative emotion? And just know that if you're noticing a lot of negative, that's very common. In fact, that is the norm due to the negativity bias that is built into our brains. And just see if you can become curious about this process. As you notice it, just think to yourself, oh, that's curious. Look, the brain tends toward the negative rather than the positive. And do that rather than judging yourself for having the thoughts. Instead, you become a curious observer of the mind and the way the mind works. You may also take note that these thoughts are just kind of arising by themselves, rather than you creating the thoughts. The thoughts are just happening. And the thoughts are happening because that's what the brain is designed to do. This is not good or bad. It's both. because sometimes the thoughts that the brain creates are destructive. And sometimes they're wonderful and creative. So it's just noticing what is. Good. Now we're going to change our strategy a little bit. And when a thought arises, instead of categorizing it specifically, we're going to categorize it more generally. And what this means is when a thought arises, we're not going to focus on the content. We're going to focus on the fact that the thought exists as a sound in the mind. And we're simply going to label it here. H-E-A-R. Here. And we're going to do that without regard for the content. In fact, we're going to try to not get wrapped up into the content and instead just notice that there's a thought in the form of a sound in the mind and just simply apply the label here. Oh, there's a new thought. Here. Try that over the next few moments and see how this experience is different from applying specific labels. Good. Now take note on how that experience was different for you. And lastly, let's open up to the sounds outside the body. So completely let go of what's going on inside the mind and focus instead on the sounds associated with maybe breathing. Maybe you notice your belly growling. Maybe you notice someone talking in the next room. Or maybe you notice silence. When you notice a sound, take your attention there. Focus there really intently for a few seconds. Get as much clarity on the sound as you can and label it here. And then when another sound becomes more salient, just repeat that process. Let your attention land there for a few seconds. Get really clear on the sound as if hearing it for the first time. And apply the label here. For example, I hear traffic outside. I say here. Then I notice the fan above me. I say, in my mind, here. Try that on your own. If you get distracted by a sensation or thought inside the mind, or whatever it might be, anything that is not hearing something outside the body, just put that distraction in the background and gently bring your attention back to any sound outside the body and apply the label here. Nice, and wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers, open your eyes, reorient to the room, and have a wonderful day.